Wait, am I doing the intro?
I guess.
Okay, hello and
Nice.
welcome to Cargo. This is just going to be a very, very short, I say very, very short, a short few sessions using the Breathless, what do you call it?
System?
Game?
Yeah, system. That's the word I was looking for. So this is going to be sci-fi, which is unusual because usually it's quite fantasy heavy. Whether I can squeeze in any chickens, we'll find out.
Space chickens.
You never know. You never know. If I can't put in spiders, I might put in chickens somewhere.
Chicken spiders.
Chicken spiders, that's a good one.
Worst of them all.
Makes a note.
Those abyssal chickens.
Mm.
Okay. So, we're just gonna jump right in. Because otherwise I'm gonna keep rambling on out of nerves. So, here we go.
No.
The crew of the Vargas 2 departed from the Lodge, which is a large space station built by humanity as a trading hub. It's kind of like a giant tavern, hence the name Lodge. It's essentially basically a load of scrap matter that's been kind of pulled from various points, and like ships that have broken down have been kind of welded on, and slowly over the years it's kind of grown and grown and grown into this larger space station where a good majority of people who don't have anywhere else to go kind of congregate. There's a lot of underhanded dealings, and anything that's kind of under the law kind of happens in this station. It is mostly inhabited by cats who were part of a retrieval operation, and then over the years they've just kind of multiplied, so they kind of outnumber anything that lives here. The crew of the Vargas 2 are about to set off on a derelict retrieval. You're all, a sort of patchwork team aboard this ship who kind of go and do like scrap retrieval and things like that, taking on odd jobs where you can, as long as you can keep flying. If you would like to introduce yourselves.
We going left to right again, or start with the captain?
Yeah. Oh, you start with left to right. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my name is Isaac Kingsley. I am the medic on board this ship. Pleasure to meet you.
Oh wait, that'd be me next. It's weird. Sorry, I'm not used to introducing myself.
Go for it.
Just a second. Let me actually get my character sheet back up because I closed it. I can't remember my own character's name. Oh god.
Well, if you've got the character keeper sheet open, we're going left to right on that.
Okay.
Oh, right.
That's what I was
I'll
going
go
off.
then. All right,
It's
we'll
like
go
left to
by
right
this.
or top to bottom.
I was going to say, when you guys started going left to right, I was like, I assume you mean the keeper sheet.
My
Captain?
name is Captain Titus Killicoff.
I hate it already.
I really hate it.
I'm the captain of the ship, the Vargas 2, and we will be arriving shortly at our destination on Joe. Make sure everyone's strapped in, prepare for a bow maneuver.
That's me.
Hey, no fair, you're cheating with your voices.
That really threw me.
Yeah.
See, I don't have mine set up, otherwise I'd do something similar.
All right.
Margaret.
Maria.
Beep boop.
I think she's powered down. Someone press the on button, please.
Oh, sorry. She's glitching out at the moment. I mean, ship.
What?
I think she's going through an update. We'll move on to Nikos.
My name is Professor Nikos Wyrick. I am the head researcher aboard this vessel, and that's all you need to know.
Huh?
All right.
Mhm.
Alistar?
He's on a smoke break.
Ah,
He
Even though smoking is prohibited aboard the ship.
it appears he has once
What?
again locked himself inside the storage facility. I really do wonder what he gets up to in there. It piques my scientific curiosity, but yeah,
Someone
but
has deleted Maria's name.
yes.
The sheet.
Right. Trying to fix her push to talk because she got rid of her name on the character sheet.
nice.
Did you
You
what?
can press Control Z. If you do Control Z, you'll probably get undo.
Ladies and gents, this is how I run my sessions. Enjoy.
Prepared.
To be honest, to some extent, I suppose this is accurate to the character.
Yeah, she's glitching, literally.
What do you mean I'm glitching?
There you go, it came back.
There we go, powering
Nice.
on.
Just
great,
need
it's done.
just need to turn them off and on again.
Oh, we created many arrows underneath the job.
Oh my god.
Just
What's happening?
you've actually glitched out the sheet unironically.
Oh my god.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Oh my
Nobody
God.
touch anything on the sheet, okay? Let's just.
She had-
Okay. Maria, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Maria. I am the medical assistant of resuscitation and immunization medical android.
Mhm.
Lovely.
No.
Perfect.
Is that fixed?
And lastly,
Alistar?
Oh, we've done James's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Alistar. I mean, Alistar McKennon. Sorry. Hello. And I am pirate in space.
Pirates in space.
That's very useful information for the people viewing it
cool.
or listening from home. Just pirate in space, you know?
Space pirate.
Cool. Right, where is.
Oh, I'm the navigator as well. That's probably pertinent information.
That's probably useful information, yes.
Yes.
So, you guys have been aboard the Vargas 2 for a little while, again, taking odd jobs here and there, and somewhat harmoniously living under the instruction of your captain. You each have your sort of quirks and everything like that. Most of the people aboard this ship, I believe, are ex-military. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
Yes.
Cool. So, Captain, I believe you have your mission, your next set of orders. Not orders, what are they? Your next job.
Mission
Right.
specifications, mission dossier.
Your mission
have-
log.
Yeah, do I have like a captain's log? And like, how long have we been traveling for? Is it?
Well, you've only just departed.
Okay, so we're going to be traveling for how long, do you reckon? Or do we go into cryo sleep?
So you probably would go into cryosleep as you were going, which is one of the reasons why you have your lead researcher, who is
Yes.
Gotcha.
aboard the
Perfect.
ship. So it will be a slightly longer journey than normal, so you will be going into cryosleep, which is great because, you know, you get paid while you're sleeping on the job.
Yep. Okay. So we're actually getting paid hourly.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Wow, interesting. All right.
Time moves a lot
okay.
slower in space. I thought you.
Well, the
Also
ship
remember
moves quite
this.
quickly, but, you know.
Mr. Wyrick, prepare the cryopods. We're going into deep sleep.
I had to.
You
Understood.
and me both.
As alright, I will get to that. Let me check that they're all in working order. All seems to be as I expected from our last usage, though. Yes, all seems to be up to spec.
Maria, if there's any changes in our life signs, you'll be the first to be alerted, and you must awaken us. If there's any incoming messages or alerts on the navigational system.
So yeah, after you guys enter cryosleep, the ship's AI will take over, and will carry on the course as normal. If anything unusual happens, the AI will alert you guys and wake you up. Your AI will also act as your mechanic and your techie.
Oh, is this you? You're the AI.
I will be the
Oh,
AI.
okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I forgot to
Oh,
mention that.
right. Didn't introduce yourself. What do we call the AI on the board the ship?
So the AI aboard the ship's name is Sweet.
Sweet.
Nice.
Oh,
Okay.
sweet Steph.
No, there's a story there.
Oh.
Whether or not you guys uncover it, you'll see.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Sweet. I'll leave everything in your capable hands.
Of course, Captain. Rest well.
Kingsley, Alistar, see you on the other side.
Course, Captain.
On the other side of what?
Of the journey.
Oh, that makes sense.
The voice is really throwing me off.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just how quick he is to respond.
It
don't like it.
sounds so natural, I think, is the thing. It's really unnerving.
Alright. Once you're in the cryopods, the medical injections will take place to ensure you enter cryosleep safely. It will shut down many of your bodily functions in order to prevent any issues. You may suffer some slight hibernation sickness when you awake, but that's what we have medical staff on board for. At least, I assume that's what they're there for.
You're in capable hands, don't worry.
The last
Yes.
thing you hear Alistar say to you is, I swear to God if you kill me, and then he freezes in his pod.
And I think Captain Titus will take one last look at the chessboard that is basically set up in the common room, and it's probably an ongoing game between me and Kingsley. And I just take one last glance at it so that maybe I can come up with a move whilst in my deep sleep.
You just hear from your side Kingsley respond, don't even think about cheating before I wake up, Captain.
No, the AI will notify you, I'm sure. Yeah. Anyway, get in your pod. Yeah.
I hate it.
Of course.
Right. Initiating deep sleep procedure, protocol 7826. Estimated time of awakening at space point, wherever the hell we're going, I don't care. But after this amount of time. And thus we enter cryosleep.
We get cozy.
Once everybody is kind of in their things, Sweet will come over to sort of like the intercom. So, Maria, it's time to wake up now.
Yes?
Mr. Nikos would need you to help him put himself into cryosleep, as he cannot do so himself. Would you mind?
As you wish, Sweet. I'd probably say I roll on over that little stumpy wheels on my leg. Roll over to Kingsley and stick him with the needle.
Oh, God.
Everyone else just slept. He gets stuck with a needle.
Well,
No hesitation, just stab.
No emotion.
as part of a lot of cryosleep, there are certain injections and stuff to help maintain the body during it, because the body naturally wouldn't survive that cold.
Okay.
Yes.
Nikos, as the chamber kind of closes around you and you start to feel the cold and your eyes kind of start to get heavy, both yourself and Maria, you do see a sort of tread-footed little robot with sort of clamps for arms wheel itself over to the chessboard and move a chess piece and then wheel off.
What? I'm actually playing against Maria all this time.
No, I think that was
I
the
know it's not
AI.
Maria that did
Oh,
it.
it's someone else. The AI. Oh, I'm already asleep. I'm just eyes closed,
Yeah.
out like a light.
No one beats the AI.
Oh, I like to think that as Nikos sees this, he just goes, "Ah, I look forward to seeing the responses to that."
Oh wait, no, Sweet's got my back because it was my move. Yes.
Okay. So you all feel the cold sort of seep into your muscles and your bones, and you can feel the sort of rising panic that comes with freezing temperatures. But thankfully, with the injection given to you, it kind of helps to ease the anxiety and the symptoms, and your body kind of almost takes a sigh of relief as your eyes close, and it's almost more like a deep sleep, and you can't feel any of your extremities. And the next thing you know, there is an alarm blaring and red lights are flashing.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Good
That's
morning,
not good.
everyone. It's time to wake up now.
Hmm.
And you all feel sort of like this release as the chambers kind of open.
I'm never gonna get used to that.
Do we normally wake up like this?
Yeah, is
Yes.
the alarm something like I would recognize?
This is normal for
Oh,
the way you get
okay.
woken up from cryosleep, because
Ah, right.
the longevity of cryosleep, you need a really loud kind of alarm to wake you up.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Well, have we followed the pathway? Sweet.
We have arrived at our destination.
Good. Good.
You should
Oh.
make yourselves ready for departure.
Can we at least get coffee first?
As I stated, get yourselves ready for departure.
Fucking robots.
I'm not a robot.
Oh, yes. AI. Of course. Smarter than the average human.
Well-
Smarter than you. What?
I'm smarter than some of these particular humans.
I just kind of like find the closest sensor nearby and flip it off.
You see this sort of claw come out of the wall, and it kind of makes a motion where it's almost like flipping you off in return.
Kingsley will head towards. I'm sure there's a canteen close by.
There is. As you kind of go down the corridors, every so often, periodically, you'll see a claw come out of the wall and flip you off.
I,
Wow.
in response, flip it off.
Yeah, you find the canteen. Let me
Same.
upload the image of the ship for you.
Oh, map.
Put it in Discord, sorry guys. Come on, close them.
Instantly use my holodeck map of the ship to close off any doorway the medic is heading to.
Just want to say that's a really cool picture, by the way. That's the background.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cheers. I imagine that's kind of our ship.
Horrifyingly, kind of looks like the Dead Space ship, so I don't want that to be us.
Yeah.
There you
That
go.
actually looks kind of
the-
similar. That's cool.
Wow, that's
let's
pretty big.
make it bigger.
Yeah, our ship's huge.
Ooh. One sec, let's
For
see.
those viewing it on the stream. There we go.
Oh, that's a cool map.
So I imagine the captain is a little bit slower than the others getting up. He's not got the same sort of spring in his step, but Wyrick is always there to sort of make sure
Mm-hmm.
I come out smoothly from cryo freezing.
Yep.
So
And
yeah, it's the
as
fact
the
that the captain, obviously, you have prosthetics, don't you?
Exactly, I was about to mention the kind of iced up glass just slowly begins to fade, and that's when you can see a sort of obscured vision of his face that is severely mutilated from like the nose down, and it suffered like really bad burns, like third degree burns, and it's just slightly obscured from sight from the kind of icy texture of the glass. But as soon as my eyes kind of shoot up, the first thing you see is he reaches down to his side for the mask. It's this kind of like metallic prosthetic plate that fits over his lower jaw, and he notices you, Wyrick, sort of staring back through the glass, and like shoots you an alarmed glance at first, and then his eyes kind of relax, and then gives you a nod as the pod opens up.
It appears, Captain, that the cryosleep has had no otherwise negative effects on your war wounds.
Thank you for being vigilant.
Yes, it is part of my duties, after all, to ensure that everyone wakes up appropriately from cryosleep.
The rest of the crew is already awake, I see.
Yes.
They should get to my station.
Medic is already on his way to get coffee whilst arguing with the onboard AI. Navigator is probably doing whatever they do, to be honest. Probably checking that everything's in storage for some reason, because they seem obsessed with that.
I would probably have morning food, which consists of some meat, but he'd probably leave half his meat and take his plate with him.
As long as you don't have porridge or any kind of soup.
Nah,
This
it's all about that meat. And I would assume, as per talks before, I'd be using the utility room number 2 by where all the cargo is.
Yeah, that's where you choose to be.
Yeah.
sweet. Was there anything of note on our journey that we should be aware of?
Not particularly worrying. There's a little bit of debris coming off the derelict that I can see. Nothing that's going to hit us immediately, of course, but I should be on the
Debris?
lookout if I were you.
Was it under fire? Or were these malfunctions from the derelict ship? Waste?
It
Does
appears
it look
on
like it's sustained damage?
it appears on scanning the derelict itself, the front hull has been shattered. A lot of the debris has come from their hull.
Is there signs of laser scorching? Or blast of fire? Were
Not
these
that I can-
pirates?
Not that I can see scanning-wise, though something seems to be interfering.
Perhaps a rogue meteorite struck it. We'll have to have a closer look. But if I'm getting ahead of myself, I should really get something to eat first.
Should I prepare for docking while you do so, Captain?
Yes.
Very good.
And I will head to the canteen and pick up my damn. Ugh. Just realized I don't get a choice in this, but I have to get the porridge. Being that I have these terrible burns, it's very painful to move my jaw, and so there's this kind of like little slit he opens up on the face mask, and everyone just hears this slurping sound. He hates it as much as you do.
Wow. Pardon. Reaching where I need to be and checking where I need to check. Sweet. Can you let the captain know that we're in fact at our correct destination?
I think you're a little bit behind on this one. I've already informed him, and I'm preparing to dock.
Yeah, but I've checked.
All right, you have checked. Thank you.
Good to know. Stupid AI taking over my job.
I thought you might want the rest. You've only just woken up. Excuse me for trying to be helpful.
Thank you, sweet. Bloody robots.
I can hear you.
Sweet. Are there any discrepancies in my vital signs from the different formula used for the cryosleep?
Please have a seat, and I will check.
Understood.
You see the same little tread-footed, like robot kind of wheel out from the wall, and it comes over, and the pair of kind of like claws come up, sort of like they rear up like a crab when it's been startled. And one will kind of clamp around your wrist and start checking your vitals for you. A little screen will kind of come up from the base of it and open up, and you can see all your vital signs on this screen. Nothing out of the ordinary, though your core temperature seems unusually high.
That is to be expected, though. I would have expected to have woken up a bit sooner. Further research needed. Thank you, sweet.
Noted. And you see, like, there's like a little save screen, and then it kind of closes on itself and folds back in, and then kind of wheels away, stops at the chessboard again and moves another piece, and then carries on.
He just sort of looks at the chessboard and like, I'm pretty sure that's cheating. But whatever. And then he'll probably grab something simple like, I don't know, just like a bacon sandwich or something. And then head to, I suppose the place that makes the most sense would probably be the hydroponics bay, as I imagine that's where like a lot of like the plant life and stuff is grown, which he'd probably use for various.
The hydroponics bay is basically where all the water and things like that are stored.
Yeah.
I'm
not actually sure where.
11 is where all kind of like the vegetation and everything that you need, the fresh herbs for medicines and things like that is grown.
He'll probably be in there looking over things and perhaps considering what he can do next to make the cryosleep process better.
That's cool.
So you're all kind of going about your morning. Maria, what are you up to?
Got those floors buffered?
She's not a cleaner.
That's what you think.
He's a Roomba. Yes?
When she's in the med bay,
Yeah,
she is.
I realised I was muted.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, it makes sense for me to be in the med bay, just rubbing the floors with my little feeties that are.
Okay, so you are cleaning the floors. Okay.
Yeah, I'm basically Roomba duty at the moment.
Yeah.
I like it.
She understands when it's in the med bay, cleaning's all it's good for.
Oh.
The discrimination.
Yes, beep boop.
Beep boop, beep boop. Does not compute.
So as you're all kind of going about your quote unquote morning, for lack of a better term, because it is pitch black outside, it's very hard to tell the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to assume it's morning because you've woken up. Space is very wibbly wobbly. And you kind of all feel the bulk of the ship kind of, the gravity doesn't quite alter, but it sort of shifts as you can feel the ship's turning, and sort of you can feel the thrusters kind of change from the backside to the sort of left-hand side of the ship, and it starts pushing in another direction like a maneuver. And you can feel the movement kind of pressing against as it starts to attach itself. Anyone close
Sweet.
to Yes.
Is there damage to the docking bay?
There doesn't seem to be damage to the docking mechanisms. However, the integrity of the... God, what's the word for it?
Couplings?
No, the...
Platform?
God, what's
Airlock?
the word? It's escaping me.
Didgeridoo?
No.
Like the tunnel?
Yeah, the tunnel. I don't know what it's called though. There's a word
The
for it.
airlock?
Airlock, thank you. Breaks the
Damage to
immersion.
the airlock. Also,
There appears
the
to be
doors?
No, there appears to be a tear. There seems to be a way for the oxygen to stay.
Okay. Bring us in as close as you can. I'd like to do the final step manually.
Of course. bear in mind it may need patching, so I would recommend gathering some supplies.
Crew, maybe at the munitions.
What?
Munitions.
Yeah, you know, like for guns and stuff.
Which I guess is
I
7.
don't think it's on here, but
I think it might
machine
be...
shop, I guess, is the closest.
I was thinking
Or
7
storage
because
locker.
that kind of looks like it's got a gun symbol on it.
Yeah, you're right. Storage locker, closet. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, so I'll notify the crew to kind of meet me there.
Mm.
And in a kind of very military fashion, he has you kind of all line up, and he hits the release for the lockers, not your lockers, but a separate casing, and inside are basically all the weapons that we have on our sheets right now. And guess he kind of gives out a little speech.
We have no idea what we're going to be dealing with. As per usual, we're kind of going in blind. Whatever took out the crew could be dangerous. Could be a threat that we ourselves need to tackle. As such, gear up.
Oh.
And you see him load a shotgun, standard issue, hands it to Kingsley, and then I load up my shotgun and like a bandolier of
yeah.
bullets.
I
And
probably go for the sniper rifle, but then get beat to it by.
yeah,
Ah, God damn it! I guess I'll have this as
Ah,
I'm just like
yes.
whacking it, and I'm suddenly it just electrifies. And I'm like, oh, never mind. This could be cool.
Yes. Hands off my telescope.
Telescope? Are you sure you're a researcher?
Yes. It's a telescope for observing things at a distance. It just happens to have a gun attachment. It's very upmarket.
I pick up my my medical backpack, and I kind of look at Maria that's probably looming over me, waiting for a command, and I just pull out a like a signaling smoke grenade, and I just hand it to her. Like, fine, keep hold of this.
Yes. You're not programmed to take loads. You're here to save them, so it's probably not within your coding in shooting another person. The smoke grenade suits you fine.
Thank you very much.
Just don't pull the pin, I swear to God.
You see the small robot with the little treads and the claws kind of wheel itself over, and it will adjust sort of the area at the top of its base kind of opens up, and then you can see almost like a small charging pad for Maria, so that way if she starts to run out of battery or gains stress, she has a way to... It's almost like her med kit, basically.
Sweet. Now, are you able to scan the ship for life zones? He said there was something blocking.
There is some interference. I'm afraid it's not giving me an accurate reading. One moment there are life signs, the next there are not.
Could be powers trying to jam our signal. All the more reason to lock and load, and if there are some alien sons of bitches in that shit, you don't think twice. You pull that trigger. Understand, soldiers? Crew.
Understood, Captain.
Of course, Captain.
Though, if there are any aliens, I would appreciate if we could at least get some samples from them. It could be useful for the research.
You do that off of the dust settles.
Of course.
all right. With that, I'll head back to the bridge and take manual controls of the docking.
Okay. Sure. What's the best way to do this? Probably going to be thinking, because you have to maneuver. So you have to do this very, very carefully.
Okay. I will, of course, look to my navigator for any assistance they may aid in this.
Yeah.
He's also at the... You're also experienced in the kind of docking bay area anyway. So I like to think there's probably some sort of manual controls his end as well.
Yeah, there will be manual controls at the portside airlock. And then there will be you need to manually steer the front of the ship.
Alright, Alistar, get to the docking bay. Going to bring her nice and slowly.
Sounds good, Captain. And yeah, I'll get ready to attach the necessary clamps from inside the airlock.
Okay. So if you would like, sorry, bear with me 2 seconds. If you would like to make your think roll.
Oh.
Are we both making a think roll, or?
Well, you're doing it in conjunction, so yes. What I'll do is I will add the results together to make the one result.
Okay, D10. Oh.
I thought yours was a D8.
Letting auxiliary.
Okay.
Oh, mine was only a D8.
For thinking, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
What's going
yeah.
on down there, Alistar? You haven't
Oops.
jammed the controls again, have you?
I don't know whether you just want to take 2, but
No, that's fine. Either way, it would have been a success because it adds up to make over 5. So you guys have done this maneuver before. You've done the manual controls before. You've also got Sweet keeping an eye and making sure to do, like, you know, when a car reverses in these modern cars, they beep if you get too close. She starts doing that just so that you guys
The
can
parking
hear.
sensors.
Literal parking sensors. You don't have backwards mirrors or anything like that. You've only got, you know,
Cameras and
maybe
things.
a small window and a sensor on your screen.
Though I like to think rather than an actual like automatic beeping, it's just Sweet going beep, beep.
Oh yeah, 100%. She's doing it in the most obnoxious, annoying way possible.
slowly, Captain. Slowly. Almost there.
And then you hear the mechanisms all lock into place. And then there's a puff of air as the airlock tries to establish itself and tries to fill with pressure and air. But like a red light comes on the screen by you that lets you know that the oxygen is not taking effect. It's escaping.
There we go. Like a pro. So, how do you plan on fixing this whole tear in the tunnel?
We're gonna have to go in with the spacesuits. It's no other option. Unless we can figure a way to patch that hole. Can you locate the tear from down there, Alistar?
I guess I'll look out the airlock.
There, you look out the window of the airlock and you can see this long, dark tunnel. And you can see that the platform that goes from your ship through the airlock towards the derelict, it seems to be fine, but you can see there's halfway through, there's like this huge dent that's kind of twisted the platform in on itself.
The actual flooring.
Yeah, the actual flooring that goes across. And where it's dipped down, there's like a hole in the gap in the floor. So where the sides meet the bottom of the floor, that corner is kind of, there's a gap, there's like a tear in it.
I guess it wouldn't really matter too much because we're in space and we just blow across, unless we fixed it.
It's more
There's
that
no air though.
Yeah, it's the air. That's
Yeah,
the
I mean,
problem.
we'd have to use the suits, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, if we use the suits, we could potentially just float over.
Or does it look repairable?
Maybe with a few sheets of metal and a good welder.
I take feedback. All right.
I forgot about that.
I'll start to head down. I'll lock the controls on the bridge, head down towards it, and I'll start having a look as well. Do we have something in the cargo bay that might be able to repair that kind of damage?
I mean, you've got your plasma wrench, right?
I do, but we need, like you said, some sheets of
Yeah.
metal.
Okay.
So
Do me a favor and just let's roll a d8 and we'll find out.
okay, sounds fair.
I know of a few sheets of metal we could use. As I look back towards
Maria.
Maria.
Poor Maria.
Oh, Maria.
Who's rolled the d8?
Oh, sorry.
Just
I thought we
wait.
were. Yeah, I swear you said I'll roll a d8 and find out. I'll roll one. Good.
Whoever's looking for it, roll a d8, basically.
A 7.
Okay. So you don't necessarily find some like spare sheets of metal or anything like that, but you do find kind of in your conference room, you've got, you know, when you work in an office, you've got like those barriers to separate desks. You do find one of those, which might be large enough.
Okay. I think this will work. However, I'm gonna ask Sweet to.
Well, they're in a environment with pressurized oxygen is not a good idea. Can you vent the tunnel? And then I'll head in there with my spacesuit and try to weld this.
You can easily go out there in a suit. The suits have their own pressure containment. However, I do not believe you will be able to weld when there is no oxygen.
All right. I thought
Didn't
it was a
think about that,
plasma.
did you, Captain?
I thought it was plasma welding, but apparently not. Alright, I'll head out there. The rest of you, this may take a while. No one's going aboard that ship till we have this tunnel patched up.
What if we used a tank of oxygen to spray on the area as the welding is happening?
You know how space works.
No, I don't.
Though,
Okay, I'll suit up.
English.
in theory, the welding would just be to hold the item in place, correct? You're more just using it to block the hole and then welding it to keep it in place. So once
Yeah.
it's held in place, we should be able to get oxygen in there temporarily whilst you do the welding, because
Sure.
you'll have blocked the way out.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay then.
He is.
Do you want to roll for the weld,
Yes, I do.
or would you like?
Mm, 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 mm.
Or would
Can I use-
use
can I
the
use-
item?
Oh yeah, I mean it's up to you.
I mean, you are technically using the item, yes.
Yeah, fine.
Yep.
I'll roll it. And this is also something that I've done as a job. It's quite routine in the past. I don't know whether that affects the roll or anything, but I'm rolling a 6.
Yeah, you managed to sort of, you know, you put your foot down on it. You've done this before a million times. You know, it's almost like second nature. And as you're kind of, you know, you have to keep a lot of pressure on it because obviously there's no real gravity, so it keeps trying to sort of float away, and it's very hard to put your own weight on it. Thankfully, the suit has obviously mag boots to hold you down, so that keeps it in place while you can manage to weld it. And you successfully
Sure.
manage to make a patch.
So going back in to take the suit off.
God damn it, Chris.
That's better. Alright. Everything looks clear. Everyone's ready.
Sure. I'll take up the rear.
Yeah, you will.
In that case, Kingsley, you're on point.
Sure thing.
Wyrick, with your weaponry, you should also be at the back.
Understood. I would rather not be at the front of any potential confrontation.
That means Maria and myself in the middle, just in case. Alright. Let's see what we can find. Let's just pray that this is just a normal salvage mission.
As
Famous
we are-
last words right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
As we all head out and Alistar is a few moments behind, he just whispers under his breath, knowing Sweet can hear him. Make sure you take care of Bubbles.
Will do. Bubbles is in good hands. Do not worry.
Cool, cool.
Alright. And we will open up the other side of the airlock's door.
So, you open the airlock into a very, very small room, which is like the depressurizing cabin. You're met with mostly darkness, but there is one red light, which on most ships you know as is an emergency light. The doors, once you're all in, kind of close behind you and lock, and the process of the depressurization commences. You can feel kind of like the weightlessness kind of disappearing, and you can feel your feet kind of, oddly enough, not hitting the ground, but it's almost pulling you to one side, almost like the artificial gravity is sort of synced to the wrong position.
That's weird.
To make things
Ego.
easier, would it be worth us heading for the anti-gravity systems to rectify that? This equilibrium issue may cause problems if we don't. If we
Good
aren't
call,
able to do
Wyrick.
that.
I mean, if we come across any ventilation fans, it wouldn't be good to go sliding into one of those.
The gravitational couplings may have come loose slightly, but if it's more damage than what we can repair, we'll just have to deal with it.
Yes.
For now, let's check other lessons. And is it a breathable atmosphere? I assume it is.
You see the little sort of thing on his little treadmills kind of wheel forward, and the screen from earlier pops up and opens up. The reading shows you that the oxygen levels are very, very low. The temperatures are at the bare minimum, almost freezing.
Is there any panels in the first room? Something I can try and log or hack into to...
Yeah, there's a keypad panel right by the doors to get into the actual ship itself, which are currently locked while you're depressurizing.
Oh, we're not quite in yet.
So
Okay.
you're in that space that's between the tunnel and the ship. There's like an airlock situation so that obviously all the oxygen doesn't escape as you enter. So it closes it off for a moment, fills it with oxygen and depressurizes it so that you can enter the ship. It's currently going through the process.
I'll be looking for access panels once we enter to see if I can plug in my holodeck to access the map of the ship.
Yeah, the keypad is an access panel itself.
Yeah.
Wyrick, is it possible for life to live happily at this temperature?
I don't know if I need to roll for this. I have something that makes sense in my head for this in terms of...
You can give me an explanation if I like it. I won't make you roll.
Okay. Based on the readings so far, the low levels of oxygen and the low temperatures will likely mean that we shouldn't have an extended period of time. We probably want to move slowly and breathe lightly so as not to cause issues. It may be worth at least taking... I mean, I carry mine with me, a breathing mask if we have any extras on board.
What I'm more getting at is if there was someone aboard their ship, is it unlikely that they would have survived for very long?
Well, the readings we're currently getting, Sweet, is that for all rooms on the ship, or is it possible that some might have been locked off to maintain heat and oxygen? You know, like with a low-level system, they may have, you know, focused on certain areas to keep life support up there.
Hang on 1 second. While I just scan the premises.
We'll likely need to find a terminal, like Alistar is doing.
Yes. I mean, depending on how long the ship has been derelict, if they are at these temperatures, if they were in suits and they were able to retain, maybe exchange the oxygen tanks, then there's potential for survivors. However, the bigger worry would be anything that could survive for long periods in these items without a suit. That would suggest some form of alien life, but
It's possible that the gravity couplings have malfunctioned. It's also possible that something else has also malfunctioned. This thing took an incredible amount of damage on the front. It could be giving off false readings.
Yes. And with the life signs being sketchy at best, it might be that the life signs are weak, then that's why they're not being picked up consistently. Or perhaps they're just unusual ones.
If I'm able to get to the med bay, I should be able to take a look for any information about the crew. What happened?
Yes.
Alistar, any luck about terminal yet?
Have we gone past the airlock yet?
Well, there's a terminal in the airlock, which we'll use to open the airlock, so you'll be able to use that, I think. I think that's what Steph meant, anyway.
Yeah, I'll try and access a terminal to open up the ship then, if we haven't already done that.
Okay. Let's see. So I'll give you a choice. You can use think or you can use sway because you're trying to get into it. Obviously, it's not your ship, so you wouldn't necessarily know all the access codes and everything like that. And essentially, the doors are locked, so...
Yeah, I'm trying to unlock. Let's use think. Let's not use think. Looks like we're a little bit stuck in here.
So as you kind of plug in to kind of access the keypad and everything like that, you start punching away, and there's a spark as your finger kind of taps at the pad, and then just this current of electricity kind of shoots across the room from this pad and sort of knocks into the wall.
Yeah, I think I found another malfunction.
Alistar, are you okay?
Yeah. I mean, close call. Does that? I'm assuming that's a fail. Does that do anything in regards to any of my things?
Press, right?
So yeah, what happens next is once that electricity spark goes across the room, it hits another section of the wall, and you just see this electrical current kind of start to spread along all the metal on the wall.
Oh no.
And you guys can start to feel it, all your hair kind of starts to stand on end, and those of you with electronic prosthetics start twitching.
Oh, great.
Oh no.
Oh. Do I have...
And what about Maria, who is a giant...
Maria is literally starting to, like, blink and, you know, not necessarily quite glitch out, but you can see that she's not quite herself.
Okay.
The same is happening with the kind of the treadmill thing. The claws it has are kind of just twitching.
Not liking this.
Yeah, in terms of my character sheet, does that
You
do
take
anything?
a point of stress, yes.
Okay, yeah, just checking so I can click it.
Whilst that's happening, can the keypad be accessed, or is it now out of use?
The keypad is still accessible, but it looks like there's a lot of loose wires in there.
It's a bit fucked.
Do
Okay.
you
My
think,
I didn't want to use
diagnosis.
that particular word, but yes.
Nikos, do you think you could do anything about connecting this up correctly before we try it again?
I can
And
certainly
maybe
give it a
quick,
try.
please.
Yeah, I'm going to have a look over it and see if I can get it into a workable state, at least for a one-time use to open the door.
If the panel is a write-off, then I'll just manually open it.
Yes. That'd be a think roll to try to repair it, I guess. Like, try
Yeah.
to put things in place. Let's see if I can roll any better.
Oh my god.
That's not much
I
I
better.
already. Oh dear.
These
So
rolls.
as you go to try and repair the panel, most of the tools that you have would be probably either metal or plastic. If they're
Yeah.
metal, they cause another spark.
Oh,
If
great.
plastic, they start to melt.
Okay.
Oh, great.
So I'm guessing I get a point of stress from that as well.
You do indeed.
I
Wow.
think this panel is lost without someone
Okay.
particularly techie. We could.
Is the gravity low enough that I can like jump and then
Yeah.
float, or is it?
Yeah, all it is the gravity is kind of pulling you in the wrong direction. So
Okay.
instead of pulling you down towards the floor, it's pulling you to the wall.
All right, but there is gravity on.
There is
effectively.
gravity, yeah.
Okay. I am going to. I've got a massive metal arm. I'm going to head up to the door.
Mm-hmm.
Can I feasibly get my fingers into a groove in the door, or if not, I'll use my welder to
It
like
depends
make
on
a groove.
It depends on the aesthetics of your arm. How do you imagine it?
Well, I've actually got the image of it somewhere. It's lost.
It's essentially how
Just on
chunky
my
are the
shoulder.
fingers.
Where did it go, guys? Oh, there it is. They're quite chunky by the looks. This is a heavy duty arm.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll pull out the plasma cutter. I'll scorch into the metal enough of a groove where I can actually fit my fingers into,
Okay.
and then I'm going to try and use the raw strength of the biomechanic arm to wrench the door open.
Okay. Yeah, that I will allow that.
Bash.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's probably a bash.
I'll give it a
using
bash.
force. Give it a bash.
Okay. This is my strongest skill. Can't go wrong here, guys, can we?
I mean, think was my
Why
strongest
did you
skill.
say that?
Hey.
Do you guys watch as your captain he starts to weld like a handhold within the door, and then he braces himself, and you just watch as this arm, despite the twitching from the electrical shock earlier, starts to pull a gap in this door. It's very strenuous, even with your arm, because you've really got to put your shoulder and your back into it. But luckily, if you're pulling towards like the left-hand side, that's the side that like gravity is pulling towards, so it's a little bit easier than if you'd gone with the other side of the door.
Right.
And you do manage to open it maybe like a couple of feet,
Okay.
just enough to squeeze through.
Yeah, I'll get into a position with my shoulder against one and my arm outstretched and holding the other door open, just so that if it does like reverse or something, my arm is basically the barrier in between, like a rod. Yeah, all the like pistons are kind of like locking into place. You can hear the mechanical whirring of it.
Right.
You-
Yeah. The way is open. Get through.
As I squeeze through.
I'll
Um,
breach him first.
So everybody
Kingsley.
makes their way through.
Yep.
Kingsley, get that droid under control. And Sig, sparking as much as that panel.
Yes, course, Captain. Just kind of give Maria a smack on the back. What's wrong with you?
Get your shit together.
Yeah, that's pain.
Yeah, and once the others are through, I'll like release my arm from the door and then draw my shotgun.
Maria, as you are smacked on the back to get yourself moving, you find yourself sort of moving forward automatically. There's a part of your internals that almost took that electric shock into itself, and it's almost charged your defibrillators. So your defibrillator dice is going to go up to a D12, not just a D10.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Been
Wow.
powered up.
That's
That's
cool.
cool.
Just shock somebody and they explode.
Looking at you, Isaac.
I think your initial would stay at D10, but your current would be D12.
Yeah, because it will go back down to a 10 once you've used that charge.
Yeah.
Alright.
So, let's find an access panel so we can guide us where we need to go.
Okay. So you all make your way through these doors. Are you closing the doors behind you, or are you leaving them open?
Well, I'll leave the one that was wrenched open. The other ones will close. So this one can stay open because it's. I don't want to have to manually drag it over when we're in a pinch.
So that's the inner door, isn't it? Leave open the inner door. The outer door is sealed.
Right. The outer one was towards our
Towards
ship, and
your
that
ship,
worked
yeah.
okay. Yeah. All right. And as soon as we're aboard, and Alistar's like looking for a terminal, I'm also gonna ask him.
So what are we looking at? McKennon, you must know about the layouts of certain ship types. There's a cargo vessel.
Well, then it should be not much different from ours. I can imagine there'd be some sort of water system near an oxygen system.
It definitely didn't look like anything military from the outside.
No.
Suppose it depends what they were carrying.
Yeah. We'll have a better look once I can download this damn map.
So
Right,
You've-
get to it.
you've now entered this area that's almost like a waiting space kind of thing, where obviously visitors would wait to be greeted. So beside the doors that you've just come out of, there is another terminal. This one's like a pedestal kind of thing, for checking in cargo and things like that. It's almost like a T-shaped junction. There's several doors around this area. What's strange is, again, with the emergency lights are on, so everything's kind of got this reddish hue. Other than that, it's really dark in sort of like all the corners. You can't see around. It's quite dusty. There's almost like a thick caked layer of dust across the floor that doesn't seem to have been moved around for a very long time.
Guess I'll access the terminal.
So the terminal is on. The screen is kind of blinking, and there's just one irritating pixel in the top right-hand corner that's broken, which is your eye
Dead
just immediately
pixels.
is immediately drawn to it. It's almost like someone has pressed it too hard, and they've kind of damaged that top corner. But yeah, you can access this terminal. It will give you the general layout. There are certain areas. So you can see just by looking on the screen that the captain's quarters, the engine room, and the bridge have all been sealed off and are glowing in red.
Am I able to download that to my
Yes.
portable terminal?
Yes, you can. I haven't finished outlining the the map that's non-spoilery yet, so you'll get that next session.
No worries.
I'll send that to you after.
So,
But you do now have the layout of the ship.
with this being a cargo bay, does it by chance have any input on what cargo was?
This area itself isn't the cargo bay. This is just where people would bring the cargo through to get to the cargo bay. This is the check-in area.
Yeah,
Customs.
that's what I mean. Would there be like a list of stuff checked through?
Not that you
manifest.
can see. There's no manifests, no.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Okay. It looks like there's a few areas locked off, but if we're worried about any oxygen tanks, then maybe we could hit up the medical bay. I assume it would be stocked similar to ours. Would we have a stock of oxygen tanks?
It should do,
Yes.
as long as they haven't been taken up by the previous crew.
Yes.
So then so should there. So that's potential. I guess we could look for the terminal which would control the gravity. Where would that be, do you think? Captain's quarters? Not quarters, sorry,
either.
Sorry, what?
That would either be in the bridge or the engine room.
And
Most ships, it differs depending on the style of the ship and how it was manufactured.
Did you say the bridge was locked off?
Yes, and so is the engine room.
And so is the engine room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Do we know why those areas are locked off? Is there any indicators like there's an oxygen breach here, so we've sealed off that room? Or is it more that area's been locked down to protect people?
Sweet would have informed you before you departed that the front area of the ship where the bridge is, something has breached the hull.
Okay.
So that's where all the debris is coming off it. It's coming out of the bridge. So it's had to be sealed off so it doesn't lose oxygen to the rest of the ship.
And the engine room is, I would guess, is near the back?
The only thing that's on the map that you're looking at is a small black symbol that says contaminated.
Contaminated. That's...
It's probably just the outside air, like space dust.
That wouldn't be a reason to seal off the chamber, though, and if it was something external like that, I'd expect it to be marked in the same way as the captain's quarter, the bridge. If we are to try to get into the engine room, I think we should probably... That would be one I would suggest we suit up for.
What do the venting ducts look like in this? Are they like real life sized, or are they like horror game crawl through sort of size?
The ventilation systems, this is quite a chunky boy of a ship. All the ventilation systems, you can see this one it's quite an old build, and there's extra doors where you can pull them open, and literally you can walk through the ventilation, and there's lots of like wires and things through those corridors.
So maybe we could gain access to one of those rooms through the ventilation?
Well, the
if we can't get through the doors, that is.
The bridge will at least be sealed off even via that, because otherwise it would be pointless sealing off the room. I'd imagine similar for the bridge, but if those areas are sealed off, there wouldn't be any survivors in the engine room. Probably, if it's contaminated in some way, there probably wouldn't be any in the bridge. And the captain's quarters is there, I'm guessing, is near the front of the ship still. So probably suffered from the same sort of whatever caused the damage impact.
Yeah.
It's at this point that you notice sort of like where you're standing at your sort of T-junction. If you are looking facing towards the opposite side because there's another airlock in case a ship docked from the other side. To your left, something further down the corridor lights up and starts blinking.
And where does that look like it would be heading towards map-wise?
It doesn't seem to be moving, it's just sort of like a light switching on.
Yeah, I mean, like, down the corridor,
Well,
heading towards where?
That would be towards the bridge.
Towards the bridge.
Yeah.
well.
Heads up. It could be a maintenance droid.
Could be, or it could be that the ship has detected signs of life and the AI has maybe started to switch systems back on.
Sorry, I know it's not the intention, but every time you say droid, it says druid. It's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
Very you speak binary. Maybe you can communicate with this Roomba and get some information from it.
As you wish, Captain.
I'll send Maria down the corridor towards the light.
Send Maria towards the light. So Maria,
Yep.
as you come up to this corridor and you take that left turn, you can see there's this huge mesh of debris blocking the corridor. Like something, whatever blew through the bridge, got wedged and stuck in this corridor. There's maybe about a foot worth of gap at the top, and that's where you can see the light coming through.
Is there a way I try and remove debris?
You can attempt to move some of the debris, yeah. I'm going to ask for a bash roll. So,
Ladies. Come on.
Oh wow! Got
Nice.
Sick.
so you guys, if you're not watching Maria,
I'm
Or
probably
you can hear-
watching through my scope, just sort of keeping an eye on things from a distance, just sort of like.
cool. So you see this very, very small robot kind of reach in and dig its fingers into this crush of crap, essentially, and starts to kind of like dig through it. How do you see Maria digging through all of this debris?
Yeah. Sorry. Say
So
that
if
again.
we're
I was
watching,
asking Yaz to describe how she does the dig.
Oh
Sorry.
right.
Trying to think of
you have like a dustpan and brush.
yeah.
Or,
Big ass
or do you
dust
have,
pan of
or do you have like a claw that, like a grabber claw that comes out?
grabby hands.
Oh, grabby
Grabby
hands.
Grabby hands, yeah. Big, strong, grabby hands to remove the debris.
Cool.
And they're
Yeah, you
actually
see-
fully functioning.
Yeah, you're away from that electrical current that's in that room now, so you have kind of settled and you've absorbed the electricals into your defibrillator. And you dig your little grabby hands in, and kind of latch on, and you can feel like the air pistons in your elbows starting to work as you pull a large chunk of whatever this is out. And the rest of you just see this hunk of space crap kind of go flying down the other end of the corridor. You made the gap bigger. You haven't cleared the gap completely, but there's enough wiggle room for people to manage to make their way through this gap. And you can see as your lenses adjust to the blinding light that's coming from this corridor, you can see that there's a large, not a lantern, it's almost like a massive hand torch that's just kind of laying on the floor, blinking intermittently.
It's not ominous at all. I have cleared a path.
Good job.
Thank you.
What was the light?
It seems to be a light source which is on the ground. It is Blink.
Allotos. Oh. Gravity must have moved it from some sort of tool cabinet, perhaps.
Would gravity normally switch it on as well?
Well, if it were bouncing on the floor, it's likely it hit the on-off switch key a few times, or may have malfunctioned as a result of getting damaged. I'm sure it's nothing. So you say you cleared a way to the bridge. I think if we gain control, we'll find some meaningful information there. Let's up there together. And, Maria, this might also be a job for you coming up. This truly is contaminated. And you might be the only one who can feasibly stilt it out.
Well, hopefully, if we're able to get to the med bay, we'll be able to get some PPE.
Some what?
PPE?
Protective.
Protective gear.
Oh, I
Personal
thought you said
protective.
PP.
Personal protective equipment?
Yeah,
Um,
PPE. PPE.
P-E-E-P-E-E.
Are we in the right place,
We
Need
Steph,
some
on the map?
PP.
I've actually, in that time, walled out the entire thing.
I can't see the map, so it's a black screen.
Yes,
Oh, really?
Because
Oh, okay. I know why.
we don't have
You
a
need
token
permissions.
with vision.
There you go.
Nope.
You're all owners now.
do we need tokens?
Owners of what?
The token.
A token?
Oh, there's a token.
There's a token. Crew. Everything but the token is black.
Hmm.
Okay.
There's not
hold on.
enough light source.
Yeah, chill out.
I shan't be chill. My beans are not chill.
I mean, we're probably quite chill. We're in a ship that's quite chill.
I hate you.
Oh, here we go. Oh, a dead robot.
Wait, are we in the right place, Steph? So, like, this
You're
is the
here,
debris,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's where the debris is. That's where you are.
So we're going to make our way through that. And also, which way did we come in from?
This
Was it
side.
left?
Yeah.
Okay. So this door was open, and this is where our ship is, basically.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Sweet.
Please ignore a lot of what's on the map in terms of details like the little robot and things like that, because that's why I was going to do an overlay. But
That's all right. We can unimagine the robot.
yeah, that's what I mean. So unimagine it.
Oh, look.
Okay. So
Some
we're up
art.
to this T-junction again.
So where the token is at this point, that is where the flashing torch is. That's literally where it is on the floor.
Got it. All right.
And the light is facing towards the debris.
Understood.
Hey,
Okay.
look-
So as we pass through this T-junction, we can see everything around us. Does anything happen? Is what I'm asking. When we get towards the bridge.
Well, I didn't know if you'd gone through the debris yet. No one actually said that they were moving through it.
Yeah, we're gonna head
Yeah,
through.
we'll
it.
move
Yeah.
through for the time being.
Okay. So you managed to climb up and over this debris because it takes up like quite a lot of space because the walls in here are quite high. Maria was able to reach it because she has like thrusters, so she can like hover. And you managed to sort of crawl your way through the gap that she's made for you. And as you get down to the ground, you can see that, much like the room that you were in before, there's a thick layer of dust, but this one seems to have been shifted. So you can see like there's a path almost from the bridge area, and it kind of comes up and round the corners where it's kind of whatever oxygen was in the bridge kind of got blasted through with the debris. And it seems to have cleared some of it out of the way, and you can see a lot of these particles kind of floating in the air. You can see the emergency lights are on, but there's also a couple of like flickering white lights at either end of your left and right.
So, do we want to go for PP before we try and hit up the bridge?
Might be an idea, as if this place is contaminated, then we're going to be
Yes.
in rough shape.
Yes, let's...
Especially if the contamination is something of a breathing nature.
Yes,
We
let's
don't
try
all
to
have
get...
masks.
Let's try to get the PPE.
Which direction does it look like on the map wise that we should be heading towards medical?
So medical is back the way you came, judging from the map. There's a small little medical symbol on the
okay.
door.
Well, we should have been heading south then, but at least the path to the bridge is a little easier.
Well, you say there's vents. If we can get Maria into one of these vents, and then into the bridge, and then they can tell us exactly what the nature is of this contamination.
Sounds good.
The bridge isn't the area that's contaminated, it's the engine room that's contaminated.
The
The bridge doesn't have oxygen because it's got a hole in it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That's-
so we do need oxygen.
Yeah.
Right, let's get back. We need to get our spacesuits on.
Thought you just said space aids. I'm not going to lie.
Spacesuits. So we will head. I mean, at least I am. I'm gonna head back. Gonna have to suit up again.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll suit up, I guess.
Is the corridor still electrified, or does it look safe to return?
It's still electrified.
Ah,
That current wouldn't have gone anywhere.
And we'd have to be in there for a while for it to depressurize again, wouldn't we?
yeah.
There's also the fact that you've now made like the handhold in the door, so it's not airtight.
All right, in that case, continue on to the medical bay. Let's hope we find, as you said, PPE in there.
Okay, so where the token is sitting right now, the medical bay is straight down, to your right, sorry. Like, yeah, that way. Keep going. No. Thank you. And it's that door in your right. So down. That's the one.
After you.
Okay. Is this door unlocked? Is there a light?
It's locked. There is another terminal, but this one needs a password for you to get into it. You need either like a swipe card pass, or you need the code.
So, in regards to what we spoke about, what my holodeck can do, could I try and find the access code to the door if I plugged into the door?
You can give it a shot. Let me find...
As an actual use of my holodeck, rather than just using it as a map.
Yeah, bear with me 2 seconds.
I'm gonna try and hack it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can absolutely do that, because we did agree that's what one of the uses of your map can do.
And Alistar, check in.
I love it. Do you want me to roll?
Oh yeah, sorry, please.
Ooh,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you managed to... It takes a couple of minutes for it to kind of go through all the different combinations. And again, because this is like quite an older looking ship, it's got one of those ridiculously long passwords that you get with, you know, your new internet router. There's a mix of capitals, non-capitals, numbers and letters, and it's just all really random. So it takes a few minutes for it to do it. But then you hear like that beep, and you can hear the sort of the rush of air as the hinges kind of unlock and unseal, and it sort of slides open just a fraction.
Ah, yes, the access code. Numbers and letters of XXX, Leet, Ship, XXX in lower and uppercase.
Excellent.
Right,
Okay.
what are we seeing here?
So you walk into this medical, I use air quotes again, medical bay. It's a bunch of boxes and medical equipment that have been almost like, looks like it was put into storage maybe. The boxes are all labeled, but none of it makes sense to you. It's a bunch of numbers and letters, and almost looks like this area was never unpacked.
That I'm sure I would have gone through when I had to set up our med bay. So would I have any idea as to where it might be?
Yeah, if you're looking for what you're looking for in particular, oxygen.
Oxygen. Yeah, we'll start off with oxygen masks.
So they'd have to be kept at a certain temperature to stop them from doing things like exploding and things like that.
Yes.
Because medical equipment, especially in space, is very, very sensitive to changes like that. Most of these crates are not clear; they're opaque, so you can't really see what's inside them. And some of the medical scrawl on them is legible by you because you have trained as a doctor. I don't know if you've ever seen a doctor's handwriting.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not actually legible. I'm gonna say, give me a think roll, please, to see if you can make heads and tails of this mess. Because this isn't your organization
Roger.
system; it's someone else's.
That'd be an 8.
Yeah, absolutely. You realize that this chaotic stack of mess is very similar to your method of thinking. Whoever organized this mess was a military personnel. And you start shifting through and you do manage to find the oxygen masks.
Perfect. I found them. They're over here, and I'll start issuing them out to everyone in Newt.
Why are they
Good job.
in the corner behind several different cases?
Probably, if something were to go off within the room, it would be the last thing to be hit and destroy half the ship.
That makes
That
certain
overthink it.
sense.
Wow. Chaotic logic.
No, it's smart logic when you actually think about it.
Try not to overthink it, Alistar. We got what we came for here. Now we can access the bridge, which will give us controls, hopefully.
Well, the oxygen. I would still say it would be a risk to enter an oxygenless environment. All of the heat will have also left. It will be the pressure differential will be a problem. We would need actual full suits for that sort of thing, rather than just oxygen.
Is there... Yeah.
Do I... Okay, do I have my whole suit on, or is that...
Or you did mention that you took it off.
Okay. Alright.
But with PP oxygen protection, providing we have some sort of... And this is a medical bay. I imagine there's also like gloves and stuff in order to protect like the skin.
Yeah.
We should... that should allow us at least to access the engine room so we can look into that contamination. See if that's a bigger danger. And potentially the gravity controls could be there as well.
Maybe is there anything else that we could salvage from here, this being the medical bay? Anything in case, some debris falls on us and we have to heal up?
It's all packed up and things, so there wouldn't be any kind of logs of the crew. So if it were, for example, like an infectious outbreak, then something should have been logged, but...
Don't you think it's odd that everything's packed away? This ship was transporting goods, or whatever it was transporting, and yet the medical bay wasn't unpacked as part of that?
It might
I
not
don't think it's necessarily odd.
It might not been of that kind of mission per se.
Yes, but even so, I mean, anything can happen in space. but seemingly something did, so perhaps their lack of preparedness was what caused the damage.
Possibly. I'm sure we'll uncover more clues as we go. But we can't read into any one thing just yet. Alright. It sounds like the engine room is the next port of call then.
Yeah, but yeah, as I was saying
I
before,
really
sorry,
wonder. Go on.
is there any like other things that we can salvage from medical bay, like to patch ourselves up if need be? Drugs? Is there any drugs in here?
I have
You
everything on me.
can have a rifle round if you're that desperate for drugs. Yes.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, 2 of us have med packs and some of us don't. Med
So
kits.
you would like to find an extra medical pack.
Alistar, let's stay on course here. We don't need to be rifling through. All of this is packed up. It's going to take ages to locate and unpack. We're just going to go to the engine room, okay?
Okay.
The captain's right. We shouldn't dally.
Yes,
Drugs.
as I said, with the temperature as low as it is, we don't want to spend too long here.
All right.
Then again, there could be survivors that we need to pay medical attention to. Now, the engine room seems to be back the way we came and then
Straight up.
down this corridor.
Oh wait, straight down. Straight somewhere.
Is this the engine room?
1 second.
We've obviously reached a loading screen.
This is sweet. Just loading it in.
Which one?
The one we're directly in front of.
Yes, that's the engine room. Well,
What it was?
part of the engine room.
Oh.
Okay.
But the door is
Now, we also
sealed,
know
right?
this is technically contaminated, isn't it?
This door is completely sealed off because it's contaminated.
Yeah.
Yes, getting
Okay.
access to this will not be easy.
Can we look around for a vent?
So, if you go back down the way you came on the corridor, you'll see 2 boxes. They are currently blocking 2 doors. Those are the entrance to the vents.
Ah. Okay. I'm gonna shove this box aside using my bionic arm. Shouldn't be too tricky.
Before we enter, make sure you've got your oxygen gear on, just in case we don't know the infections
Yeah.
in the vents.
Yeah, I'll make sure everyone's wearing that.
So you can give me a bash to move this box because the
Alright.
gravity is on this, is pushing against this.
Oh, really? Okay. Can I go around the other side and then try?
Or are you saying it's
Off.
literally pushing down, like as if like the gravity
Yeah.
itself is trying to keep this in place to block the exit?
No, because the gravity is malfunctioning, so it's pushing the wrong direction at the moment. So it's pushing this box into the
Against the
door.
wall. Right, yep. Okay, I got a 4.
Okay. So you manage to kind of start pushing it, but as you're pushing it, your arm kind of slips and it catches the lid of this crate, and the lid comes flying off. You go head first into this crate, into what seems to be a bunch of kind of like extra wires and parts and things like that, and it starts to sort of tangle and constrict you.
Ah.
Are you okay, Captain?
Damn it. Get these things off me.
Do you require a hand?
Yes, very humorous.
Sorry.
Can't believe someone would clumsily leave these wires just... And this box wasn't properly sealed. Clearly not following code.
At least not the codes we follow. Alright, let's get him out. Try to help untangle him.
I'll still keep an eye out, just make sure no one's about.
What are all these woes for, do you think?
So you do take a point of stress from the fact that it was constricting you and like the sort of
Never,
almost like a noose around your throat situation.
never been so embarrassed in my life, in my
There's
career.
that too. There's that too. Less stress, more embarrassment.
These I mean, whilst these wires, they could be, might be worth remembering these are here. We might be able to use them to fix that panel in the entrance. Potentially. Because it was damaged wiring that was the issue. But we would probably need actual wiring equipment for that. So, might be worth...
Right, I'm going to be back in just 2 seconds.
Yep.
So give me a minute.
All right. But with the way open,
yeah.
I'm sure, Maria, you're looking ready to go.
And whilst we're currently on what I would assume is a loading screen, here are 10 crazy facts you didn't know about space. Space is completely silent. There is no atmosphere in space, which means that sound has no medium or way to travel to be heard.
There's a lot of space in space.
Yes. The hottest planet in our solar system is 450 degrees Celsius, which is Venus, which isn't actually the closest to the sun. But Mercury apparently has no temperature, resulting in big fluctuations. The sun's mass apparently takes up 99.86% of the solar system. And 1 million Earths can fit inside the sun.
There is a spa in space, so you can be very calmed to the point of death.
Right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
There are more trees on Earth than stars in the Milky Way.
Wow.
Damn.
That one's actually really interesting. I didn't know that one.
Yeah. What the heck? Surely not.
Apparently so.
That's crazy. Okay. All right. Maria.
Howdy.
Just gonna head in there, see what you can find. If you're able to take a sample as well. I don't know what we're dealing with. But if it's contaminated, maybe get a sample for our Dr. Anne. You ready to go in?
Yes, Captain.
All right, roll out.
Artifacts.
Alright. Maria, how are you doing this? Are you going in, like, slowly and carefully, or are you just gonna, like, stroll your way through?
I'm just gonna stroll my way.
Cool.
I don't care about proving things.
No, that's absolutely fine. You're a robot, you don't care. Or you try not to, at least. There's a small part of you that has some teeny tiny semblance of feeling, but it's very, very small.
Yes.
Roger, Roger.
Who put that on there?
No one?
Okay. So you make your way through this, despite the fact that it is a vent, it's large. It's almost like a corridor itself, so it's big enough for a person to squeeze through here. And you can see a bunch of wires kind of connecting all throughout these walls, which you kind of think maybe that's what all the wiring in this big box was for, just in case a replacement was needed. You could quickly get one and come back in. You, being a robot, understand this, despite the fact that the humans a moment ago were complaining about this very thing being inconveniently placed. It's there for convenience. You understand because you're a robot, and it makes sense to you. You make your way down this corridor, and you can see something as you look through the wires. There's something moving amongst them. Every so often, it's almost like your lenses are playing tricks on you, or maybe the light's catching something. But there's something moving. And as you make your way towards the other end of this area, there's a small vent, just maybe about a meter above you, and you could look through it, potentially. But you'd have to kind of pry the slats open first. They've been sealed, obviously, to stop the contamination from getting into the vents. And then at the other end, there is also a very similar looking door that's got like a bulkhead turning wheel, which is currently sealed, but it's got a manual way of opening up.
I've got two ways of progress. I'm gonna go with the bulkhead.
Sure.
Try and
So you head your way up towards the bulkhead. And just trying to figure out where I am on the map. It should be
Where your cursor is?
kind of. I can't. I'm trying to look at it from where I am. Yeah, it's down here.
So Maria's in the walls.
Yeah.
Right now. Sort of just going somewhere.
Yeah.
He's in the walls.
And she ends up right there, yeah?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so she's poking her head out.
So she's got to undo the bulkhead first.
Gotcha.
From this end, you can see, Maria, that around the edges of this door, there's kind of like a rusted color substance bubbling almost at the edges of this bulkhead door.
Ooh.
gonna
Oh.
try and rise it over. Strong, grabby hand.
Alright, give it a bash. Okay. As you start to turn this wheel, you get about halfway and it jams, so you put a little bit more force into it, and the wheel snaps off in your hands. And then where it's come apart from the door, there's now like a hole where the turning mechanism was, and this bubbling copper goo starts to fizz and bubble through.
Out of character, this don't look good.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Now, you're a robot, so you can't necessarily take a point of stress, but you can take a point of glitching.
Ah, I like it. Yeah. Okay. The program is malfunctioning. So does this bubbling thing, does it react to their presence, or does it...
You don't know, you're not in the corridor.
No, I'm asking for Yaz's
Well, I don't know
perspective.
what Maria's doing at the moment. At the moment, she's just got this wheel in her hands.
Kind of a very confused robot. Not entirely sure how to progress as the way of opening.
So
The
your
way-
instructions from your captain were to investigate and extract a piece of the thing for analyzing, I believe.
I'm gonna try and take a sample of this copper goo.
What I was looking for. Yeah, so you've got all the capabilities, being a medical assistance robot, to be able to take samples. So you can open up like a hatch in the front of your torso, and you've got like a row of test tubes and sealed bottles and things like that. If you can give me a think, I'm gonna say, or
Would it be... No, I mean, yeah, I think's good.
think or a dash, because almost like sleight of handing kind of thing, like
Yeah.
you're extracting it. So I'm gonna say that.
Oh
Okay.
no.
As you go to reach for some of this coppery goop, it almost like as you go to extract it into the bottle, it kind of, rather than that, it kind of gets attached to your hand and starts to bubble and foam, and it gets into all like your knuckle joints, and it immediately starts to eat away at the metal.
Oh no.
Oh, this isn't good.
You take another point of stress.
I'm very glitchy right.
Oh.
So the rest of you in the corridor, you could hear this massive clonk as the handle came off in Maria's hands.
Maria?
And you can hear a lot of fizzing.
Maria,
Everything okay in there?
Systems malfunctioning.
I'd head back to us.
Uh,
Unless you yourself are contaminated.
uh, I believe I have been contaminated.
Right.
Hmm. What is the nature of the contamination?
Metallic substance has breached my health.
Hmm.
I turn to Wyrick for his diagnosis.
Okay, so Maria, can you turn to show so that the area that you've got the contamination is facing us, and then I can attempt to try to get an idea. And basically, I'm just gonna look through my scope down the thing so that I've got a view and see if I can get any more information based on just being able to see the contamination on Maria.
Yeah, I'll just hold up my little grabby hand where it seeped.
So you can see the same coppery substance kind of bubbling and fizzing between all the sort of like joints of fingers.
Odd. Does that look like anything I've seen or heard of before?
You can give me a think roll.
6.
Yeah, okay, so you've heard about things similar to this, but not necessarily in this kind of way. So you know about rust. That's a standard thing when you're living and working with tools and things like that. And your brain instantly thinks of like flesh-eating viruses or some form of frostbite. But it's almost like the rust is specifically going for the metal, not the plastic parts of Maria.
It's almost, from what I can see, think of it as a flesh-eating virus, but it's targeting metal. I assume they must have tried to seal off that area to prevent that spreading and causing more damage to the ship. And with Maria trying to open it, it's got that on them. In theory, at least, it should be safe to bring it back and try to remove what it is, but we would need to
Remove all metal components of ourselves. Those
But
that
that would
can.
be easy.
would it be if one of you heads quickly to the med bay, if we can get some sort of like plastic,
I was thinking an organ tub.
yeah, something like that, and we can have a closer look at it. It might also be worth, Captain, to stop it spreading, perhaps, if you can, without getting your arm caught by it, trying to, at least for the time being, seal off that, where it came through, perhaps. I don't know if that actually, unless, of course, that rust is what caused it to break, in which case it's already on that object, so it would be unwise. Yes.
We need to learn about what this thing is,
exactly
what it does. So, for the rest of us, we will create some distance whilst you and Maria determine its qualities.
Exactly. Right. I'm gonna head to Maria. Just stay at the entranceway for them. I'm gonna quickly head to the med bay and see if I can find like an organ tub or something to basically put the material in and stuff to remove it without, that isn't metal.
Can you just use this box Is there like a box in this
Possibly.
cargo?
But isn't that just full of wires because you fell into it?
Yeah, it's true. Well, you might be able to see it eat some wires. We never know.
Oh, why don't
Like
we
spaghetti.
why don't we put some sort of fabric over where it's oozing into Maria, and then use a mag boot to draw it out into the fabric?
That's not that's a pretty sensible idea. Let's give that a go.
We cover the mag boot and fabric as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
There you go.
Yeah. So we're essentially gonna, because it's like metallic-like substance, we're gonna try to use the magnet of the mag boot to essentially pull it off of them and into the cloth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, science.
I don't know if you need us
Science
to.
indeed.
Science, bit.
And fiction. Wow, it's almost like a sci-fi.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, that makes sense. So that would probably work. It might not be perfect. And Maria's probably still got some rusted stains and things like that on their person, and a few of the wires are probably permanently damaged. But yeah, you do manage to draw out the substance and attach it to this mag boot. You can see it bubbling away.
Right.
Pull the fabric off into the container.
There is no. Based on the layout of the ship on the map, is there anywhere other than the med bay which might have equipment to analyze something like this?
You would probably have.
Research lab?
There's not a research lab labeled. But there are places where it designates other terminals and areas that use power. And there is a large area like that back down the corridor, which is got all the call it the space junk blocking the way.
I'm gonna try to take this down to one of the rooms so that I can observe. I don't know if someone wants to cover me or whatever the proper military term is. It's been a while since I've had to use them. Then yeah, he's gonna head in that direction basically.
Okay. So you squeeze your way back through the debris. That's the word I was looking for earlier.
Yep.
And you can see that the blinking light, the torch that was on the floor.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore.
Is there looking around, are there any signs of footprints or rust signs, almost like it was eaten by rust, for example?
No, as I said, this area here, all the dust that was all over the floor has kind of been moved already, so it almost looks like it's been cleaned. And there's just a lot of dust in the air, so even if someone had done so, it'd probably have settled by this point.
Yeah. Captain, I don't think we're alone on this ship.
How so?
There was a blinking flashlight through here when we came through earlier. It's not there anymore. And I can't see any signs to see, like, the rust got it or anything.
Potentially. Or maybe the gravity is just confusing you a little bit.
Possibly.
If there's a flashlight, it could have just rolled away.
Possibly, but then I'd expect to see the blinking light unless it ran out of battery, but... Right, so, I'm going to continue heading towards one of those storage rooms. I have no idea if anyone else is coming with me. Yeah.
You'll be right behind you.
Are we all
Cut
going?
our shut. No, we should keep a distance from the captain and Maria from the researcher, Wyrick, until we know the nature of the contamination. We'll keep our distance.
Oh, okay. So who went? The researcher and
Maria.
Maria went as well.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of us have metallic prosthetics. They're a wise idea to get any closer than what we need to.
Is that the way they went?
So you want to go past the debris and where you can see the robot on the map, where the robot
Yeah.
is not in reality. And you want to take a right,
Yep.
and there should be a door up top somewhere.
This one, I guess.
Yep.
Right, let's go to there. And is this door sealed like any others, or can we get into this one?
This door isn't locked. There's no power to this terminal for this door. So you can
Just
pull it open.
Gonna just open it then.
You open this door, and you almost do a double take. You have to blink twice. The room is filled with plants, and amongst all these plants, they're not in the bathroom. Amongst all these plants, kind of like almost as if these plants have been cybernetically enhanced. Each of these trees have a monitor embedded into their bark. And there's several wires kind of wrapped around branches and plugged into other bits and pieces.
That's unusual.
It's like walking into a rainforest. It's so warm and horrible in this room. It feels semi-claustrophobic and smothering.
Do the monitors themselves on the trees have power?
Yes, they do.
I'm going to have a look at one of the monitors to see if I can see what it is. I'm guessing it's just going to be details about the tree, but it might give details to why it's being monitored.
It has similar readings to the ones where where Sweet took your vitals. It's like the tree has obviously life. And then you can see there's almost like a zoom in of a particular leaf, and you can see this leaf on like a little display table kind of thing, and it's got several smaller wires attached to it. And it's almost you can't read it, but there's some sort of language on the screen, as if the leaf is thinking.
This is rather unusual, Maria, but it's almost like they're trying to read the plant's mind. Perhaps. I mean, it would be an odd line of research, but not impossible. But that means there should be monitoring equipment in here of some kind, hopefully. I'm going to have a look to see if there's any spare monitoring equipment that I could use to hopefully with plastic parts, to be able to link up to this or scan this copper substance so that I can try to work out what it is exactly.
Maria, roll me a think roll, please. Okay. As you enter this room, your joints are still sort of struggling, and you kind of just keep flexing your hand almost to try and repair some of the damage done by the rust, trying to oil it almost by doing the movements. Something catches your eye in the sort of upper part of this, and you can't quite understand why. And as you go to let your companion know that there's something there, you can't get the words out. It's like the information gets scrambled before it can reach the stage of execution, and the words disappear.
I'm not sure. Ew.
Okay, you don't have to do anything if you can't think of anything. It's just information for you.
Yeah.
Suspend.
Some suspended.
What do you
So
think?
Nikos, you can see that Maria almost makes a gesture as if to say something, but it's
What-
almost like having a bit of a brain fart moment and just.
What is it, Maria? What's on your mind?
I do not know.
I do not know.
Unusual. Unusual. It probably means something in here has triggered some sort of response in your system, but perhaps the data is corrupted or something along those lines. I wonder, actually. Was it when Maria looked at, like, the leaf talking, essentially, or thinking, was when they had this, like, brain fart moment?
No, so it was when you were sort of looking around to see if you could find a panel to analyze, and Maria almost started looking the same, and then looked at a particular area of the room as if to almost acknowledge something, but then it failed.
Well, it's disconcerting, but I'm gonna keep looking round for a moment, and then if I can't find anything, then I'm gonna have to head back, because there's not much more I can do in here.
You do manage to, like, looking around, you do manage to brush away some foliage and things like that, and you do find eventually a workbench underneath all this.
Whoever worked here has let this get far too overgrown, even if they are monitoring things. Prune your
Yeah,
plants.
you get the feeling that this has been like this for a little while. It's kind of like the medical bay. It's probably never been properly unpacked.
And yet it's so well, like, monitored. It's still unusual to me. But using this workbench, I'm gonna try to see what I can find out about this material, just from using any perhaps scanners or monitors that it has, or any tools it has to.
Okay. So much like the rest of the room, you've got all the plants and everything. You've got the wires that connect up, and the monitors on the screen. You can probably adjust some of these wires. There's not really an input area for you to analyze the substance.
Yeah.
You'd almost have to stick the wire straight into the goop, but then
It would then
if it eats the metal, it's a bit risky.
Though that does have its own experimental parameters, because the bit of metal that it ate from Maria wouldn't necessarily have been charged with electricity, whereas these cables would have been. Yeah, the researcher in me wants to give it a go. I'm just going to stick a wire in it that's probably got electricity and see what happens. I've been told to find out more about it, so I'm going to try.
Okay, let's give me a dash, because it's like a sleight of hand situation.
Oh, this will be fun. Oh.
Okay. So yeah, you attach this wire into the goop, and it does start to bubble and fizz, very much like it did to Maria. And you can see one of the screens that this wire is connected to in this tree starts to blink and flicker. And then a bunch of text kind of rushes up the screen. And somewhere on the ship, the rest of you hear this high-pitched squeal.
Like mechanical squeal or?
No.
Oh no.
But you get a bunch of information, but again, it's in a language that you can't read, but it does give you a readout.
I'm-
It doesn't seem to affect the wire in the same way that it did Maria.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because perhaps it can't affect something if it's electrically charged.
In regards to the squeal, was
Mhm.
it just in the direction of them in that room, or was it?
No, the squeal came from the engine room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nikos is going to make a mental note of all of the information there, trying to remember as much they can, so that perhaps one of the others might know the language, or he can take it back to the ship later to get Sweet to analyze it through their databanks.
I mean, sure, you can potentially either plug Maria or the little treadmill into the machine, and it can download the data for you for later.
Yeah. Maria, would you mind downloading this data for me for further analysis later?
As you wish.
So yeah, you plug it in, and Maria, you get flooded with this information. It's like a wave of information. And you see images of like lush green landscapes, almost like you're seeing all the memories from these trees, from all these plants, as you know, they've kind of grown from like saplings and things like that. And then suddenly you have visions in your memory core of, you know, being uprooted and the flight to get you here, getting plugged in, having like this huge chunk cut out of your front torso, and this screen being installed. And it's just a wave of, you don't know how to describe it because again, you don't really have the emotions that most androids should have been given. But something about it makes you just a smidge sad.
Emotion?
Interesting.
But yeah, you have that data now stored.
Right, let's head back to the others. There's not anything more we can do here for now. Unfortunately, it seems all the systems. As he returns, he'll say, "The ship is rather odd, Captain. They've got plants linked up to machines, like to the point where the screens are actually embedded into them. But it's almost like they've let the area get overgrown."
As you come around the corner, then you see probably both Isaac and Captain aiming their shotguns down the corridor from where that scream happened, right?
Yep.
Because we heard that.
He would have been on high alert from that shit.
And then, without turning,
The computers into plants.
Yes, they were literally embedded into the bark of the trees. To
It's
the
possible
point,
they're just reading like electromagnetic signals.
well, the way it was done, it was almost like they were trying to like read the minds of the plant, but it was in a language I didn't understand, so I'm not quite sure.
Well,
But the odd thing is, like the med bay being unpacked, it was like this area was overgrown, almost like no one was manning the area. But then what was the point of it being researched?
And I don't suppose you know what that noise was at all?
Well, couldn't the overgrowth be a case of how long the ship has been damaged? Do we know how long?
Can't imagine it would have been derelict long enough. From how you described it, it almost looked like it had never been unpacked properly, right, Steph?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
From how it looks like nothing was done from it in the entire time. Like it was set up but never unpacked, much like the med bay. as for what that squeal was you just asked about, perhaps the source of whatever this goo is, or perhaps something that's been affected by it.
Could have been.
It's at this
Thank you.
point that I'd like. I'm gonna say get you all to give me like maybe not. I don't want to do another think. I'm gonna say a sneak because it's almost like a perception thing.
Okay, plus sneak. What's my sneak?
The snake.
Roll d4s.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, apparently I rolled as what's it called?
Brew.
Who rolled?
Okay.
I've got a D6 in it.
Have you? It says d4. You're currently at a d4.
I don't know why that says currently a D4, but my initial's D6. I think two of those got mixed up. There you go, that's what it should be. Because I'm not very good with guns.
So Maria, you're very distracted at this point by everything that's still running through your head. You keep running through the files again and again in your head, so you're not really paying attention until the last minute. But the rest of you see this smallish black blur kind of dart over the debris and kind of fling itself down at Alistar.
At Alistar.
At Alistar.
Oh god. So it's attacking, whatever it is.
It's throwing itself at Alistar, yes.
Stun
Uh-oh.
baton?
What do you do?
Stun baton.
Okay, so roll your stun baton.
I just pointed forwards. 5?
Okay. So you connect the stun baton to this thing that's just flown out you. The rest of you see basically there's a small thud, and on the floor twitching you can see it looks like a cat with horns and a whip, kind of whip-like tail, and it's just kind of twitching.
Oh no!
The fuck?
I'm sorry! Bubbles! God damn it,
Bubbles?
sweet! I thought you were looking after it.
What? What is this?
What is that thing?
You know what this thing is?
It's
You better explain
cargo?
now before I blast it away.
It's cargo
Cargo?
from our ship.
What's it doing aboard this ship?
More...
Exactly. What is it doing aboard this ship, sweet?
Wait.
You're telling me you were smuggling some sort of creature, live creature, aboard our ship?
That would explain why he kept to the storage room so often. But if that's here and got through here and that was on our ship, does that mean that the way back to the ship has been breached?
Oh, that's
an issue.
yeah, that's a possibility. But right now, Bubbles.
I'm gonna go check immediately.
I'll follow.
I'll come with you.
Oh, yep.
As for you, Alistar, we're gonna have word later.
That is evil. You threw my own smuggled pet at me.
I was just about ready to blast that thing away. He hadn't said something.
What? Clearly, I didn't.
I've been rolling sneaky checks for your cat since you guys got on board.
Though, at least if we want to see how, assuming, well, it doesn't matter either way. If we need to see how the substance reacts to living tissue, at least we have a sample now.
The first fatality of the crew.
No.
The cat's not dead. The cat is stunned.
Like
Oh my god.
But
Stunned a cat.
everyone else is like worrying about it, and Nikos is just like, now I have a live tissue sample to test on that thing.
Wow.
No.
He's a scientist.
How
Poor cat.
But
very
that was mostly going to be if it was dead, but if it's just stunned. But yes, let's ensure that
So, Captain, as you get to the other side of the debris again to check the doors, you see the little treadmill with the claws. The lower box, there's a compartment hatch that's open.
Where is this?
On the other side of the debris, by the
Oh.
doors. Because it can't
With-
climb, so it's just been sitting waiting
Right.
for you.
I see. And I'm gonna go all the way back through, and this time check the actual door to our spaceship, I guess, if that's open or closed.
Yeah, it's all still sealed up. You can give me a quick think check, but this one's not going to be very difficult. Yeah.
Okay.
Judging from the situation, the fact that the doors are completely shut, and the fact that the cat is somehow here,
Yeah.
and the fact that the treadmill with the claws has an open compartment, you can probably deduce that the cat was in the compartment
Right.
and managed to escape.
Gotcha.
Oh, I asked Sweet to take care of the cat, so it took care of the cat by putting it inside itself, container-wise.
Oh, technically,
I
you
see.
took care of the cat.
No, god damn it, Kingsley. I will nurse the cat back to, well, I guess whatever it is, cat-wise, back to...
It will eventually stop twitching, and then it will just kind of be taking a nap of sorts, and will eventually wake up.
I'm just holding it over my shoulder like a fireman's carry right now.
There's a sigh of relief now, realizing that the spaceship is still there and hasn't been breached or anything.
The little robot just kind of makes a little shrug motion with its claws.
Can you honestly tell me that you didn't want to take one of these things? From a planet full of cats?
This was supposed to be a salvage operation, not a petting zoo. We can't have specimens like this roaming around.
Well,
What if it got contaminated and took it back aboard the ship?
Well, it was never meant to come aboard the ship. Blame your AI for that.
I mean,
Someone must have ordered the AR, in which case the blame falls back upon you.
If we were to follow Red Dwarf's protocol, that old sci-fi show, then technically you'd be in cryostasis for the remainder of the trip back.
I was literally about to say, has Jamey just red dwarfed us?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
What?
That's the reason in the very first episode of Red Dwarf. That's the reason why Lister survives, because they're put into stasis for bringing a cat on board, and then they weren't allowed out of the thing due to a radiation leak.
Oh, but then I'm the navigator, so how would you get back?
Yeah, that's what the AI is for.
But also, that happened in Red Dwarf? They
Yeah,
brought
that's
a
the
cat up-
very first
They
episode.
did. Yeah, there's a
Oh.
character literally called Cat.
Yeah, and that cat is descended from the cat that they brought aboard.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I did Red Dwarf you unintentionally.
Yeah.
Good show, by the way. Watch it.
Yeah. Though,
Wow.
up to about season 8 or 9, then it goes a bit weird.
Anyway, back to the sci-fi
Yeah.
potential horror. Or not.
Ah. There's no horror here. That's the hip screeches double the cat. Probably trying to climb aboard the wreckage.
Oh, yeah.
So, Alistair, you know that wasn't your cat screaming. You know the sound of your cat screaming.
Oh, no, this isn't a regular cat. Look, horns.
I don't want to hear it, Alistair. I'll be issuing a disciplinary once we get back aboard the ship.
But
For now, stay on task.
what I'm telling you is it bleats. It doesn't meow or screech.
It's like a goat.
So what
That's
you're
weird.
so what you're saying is whatever that sound was wasn't your cat
No.
thing. Coat.
I don't care what it is. This thing has been a whole distraction. Let's get back on task.
Agreed.
The shotgun goes back up towards the engine room.
As there are ventilation shafts on both sides, I think. Do we want to try the other one? See if the airlock at the thing at the bottom isn't rusted away. Might be a way in.
Wow.
Probably send
Depends on what we
someone
discovered. This contamination, does it seem to be harmful to us fleshy humanoids?
From what I've seen, it only seems to be attracted to metal so far. But it appears that electrically charged metal, such as wiring and such, it bubbles, but it doesn't seem to like attack it or go up it.
Yeah, it does bubbles as I'm patting the cat. Got
But-
cat.
Do you have a prosthetic leg, Mr. McKennon?
No.
Perfect. I think you just volunteered to go into the vents.
Oh.
Uh,
Huh.
So it only makes up for this mishap we just had.
Wow. Never have I wished to have had a false leg.
Not only that, but you're the most experienced with the engine room and storeroom.
Okay.
You might be able to get this thing back up and running. The gravity
Am
and
I
oxygen and temperature.
am I taking the route that Maria did?
I point towards the other vent as as I begin heaving out the boxes. Do you need another bash for that?
I
Or...
need another bash roll, yeah.
Let me give you a hand, Captain. I'm not that strong, but better. Don't want you to
Okay.
make the same mistake.
Okay, both of you
Okay.
make rolls then.
Okay, we'll work together.
My bash is not great. Let's say you don't need my help in this case, but
No, I'm channeling the anger I have at my crew right now.
Yeah. So, Wyrick, you're not much help. You're kind of trying to help push, but your feet are basically slipping on the floor, doing that sort of comedic run, and then you just kind of give up.
I tried, Captain.
Meanwhile, I just without the other arm, just a singular arm to like lift it and swing it out of the way. Probably goes clattering on the ground.
You know, with how useful that arm is, Captain, have you ever considered replacing the other one?
But that would require a painful procedure.
True, but potentially you could use the flesh and stuff from removing that arm as a graft for the face if you wanted to eat something other than soup. Purely
Wow.
hypothetical, of course, but
Then I'd be more machine than man, and I fear my humanity would be the next thing I lose.
perhaps. But
As you move the crates away, you can see at the bottom of this doorway, there's like a smear of this copper substance
Uh-oh.
along the
You said
floor
the
where
S word.
Oh, sorry.
I don't mind it. It's fine.
Yeah, there's a smudge of this copper substance across the floor, almost like it was eating away at the bottom of these crates.
Oh. Am I still going in with the copper?
As long as you're not carrying any metallic objects on you.
All right.
Nothing that's electrically charged, as you had the doctor say.
Oh yeah.
Probably also make sure you cover up your mouth and stuff in case it could be respiratory.
Yeah. Should I hide the holodeck within my jacket then?
Probably.
Cool. Okay. Come on, Bubbles. Don't let their anger get to you. They just don't know to love.
You make your way through this corridor, and instantly the smell of copper hits your nostrils through your breathing mask.
Through the breathing
Thankfully,
mask.
yeah. Thankfully, there's obviously an air filter in there.
Oh, okay.
So obviously it's going to filter out any toxins and things like that. The smell is still going to be there. And you make your way through, and you can almost feel through like the soles of your feet. You know, like when you walk on wet flooring with socks. It's kind of like that kind of horrible sensation as you walk through this corridor. There's not very much light. You've only got what's coming in from the main hall where everybody else is gathered, and it's like a dim red emergency light, so it's not enough for you to see down to the other end. You have to kind of wait and let your eyes adjust the closer you get. And much like Maria, you find the vent in the wall that's not open. And then as you get towards the other end, you can see the outline of the bulkhead door.
Right at the bottom.
Yeah. If you're going down towards that one, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I'm going to the engine room, Anna, so...
Yeah.
Oh, God. Bubbles, no. So I'm
As
looking...
you
Go on.
As you get to this bulkhead door, you can very much see the outline that Maria saw as well. Except this door is open already.
Which explains how the copper got through this way.
Yeah.
So...
It's been pulled to, almost. So, but it's not been sealed.
Okay. Engine-wise, I'm looking for means to direct gravity in the correct way, right?
That's part
That's
of.
what you're looking for.
Yeah. And what else? Am I looking for anything else, or is it just this?
Possibly sign of the source of the contamination.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be looking for those two things then. There seems to be a panel here.
Yeah.
I didn't order you like Maria because I'd hoped you'd had your own initiative.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of machinery in this room, and a lot of it's quite bulky. It's old, sort of standard issue. You're not a mechanic, so you're not exactly 100% sure what you're looking at, but you do find the terminal.
Yeah. Maybe hoping that maybe the issue isn't mechanical, but more so like to do with settings, or maybe I can reroute settings away from other places to gravitational pull.
Okay. You get up to this computer panel, this terminal. The screen is, it's not damaged, but it's almost got like condensation built up on it. And you kind of have to wipe it away, but as you wipe it away, the screen kind of like reacts to it, so it is a touchscreen terminal.
Oh, I'm used to touchscreens.
It's very old-fashioned, and obviously you're used to slightly more modern technology, which is weird considering your past. But it's simple enough that you can probably figure it out. You can see that the gravity calibration is off-center. And there is a date on the top corner. And it is set to 7 years ago.
Ooh. Okay, that's interesting.
So that was the last time it had a calibration done on it.
Wow. Yeah, so try and calibrate the systems to allow gravity to reset itself.
Okay. How do you do this?
I guess I would have to use my holodeck.
You would?
Would there also be a way of lowering oxygen levels to the engine room and the air ducts into the engine room?
I mean, like redirect it.
Yeah, so there's less oxygen where all this rust is, because for something to rust, it has to oxidize.
Okay, that makes sense.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I'll accessing this terminal, I'll be trying to do like those things.
Alright. Okay. So give me a roll for your gravity first.
Oh,
Okay. Those of you who are in the other room, I would like to have dashes from you, please.
Uh-oh.
Because the gravity is shifting.
Oh, this could be better. A little more
What rolls, sorry?
dash.
Dash.
Dash. Gotcha.
Yeah, 4.
Okay. Okay.
4.
4.
Alright. So nobody face plants.
Nice.
You all feel this weird jerking sensation where all your organs were kind of like being pulled a certain direction, and then suddenly it's like being on a roller coaster and your stomach just drops. And there's a moment where you kind of lose your balance, lose your footing, and like there's a ringing sensation in your ears. As you can feel it resetting. It's very disorienting, and you'll have to take a moment. You have successfully calibrated the gravity.
Well, that's good.
So,
according to the map, do I know what's south of the engine room?
south of the engine room is... Bear with me 1 second.
I think there's a window, maybe, that you can see through.
There
'cause-
is... It's not a window, it's the garbage disposal.
Oh.
Alright. Okay, so not important then. So, yeah. I will...
Does that use a use of your...
Yeah, I've brought it down another...
Okay.
Ah, sorry. I've brought it down another. Why did it change back up to the... Oh,
Change current,
Yeah.
yeah.
not an issue. Yeah.
Okay, I changed the wrong one, that's why.
So
I
you
changed
have
this one
adjusted... You have adjusted the gravity successfully.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
Oxygen.
yes. Oxygen, and then I will be running away from the engine rooms.
Okay.
So
You spend a few minutes. You've got to find the right... it's not a map, but you need to find a thing for the air ducts and how to seal them off. Because it's such an old system and the screen is not up to optimum efficiency, it's going to take you a while. It loads kind of like a section at a time, and you have to scroll through each section of the ship.
Yeah.
To be able to seal off ducts. You find that on the map that's showing of the air ducts for this particular area, 2 of them are broken. You are going to have to manually close them if you wish to seal it off.
So I can lower the oxygen, and then I'd have to seal the doors behind me.
No, the air ducts need sealing.
Okay.
A couple of the air ducts are broken, so you can lower the oxygen, but you won't be able to cut it off completely.
Yeah, and do I know where the air ducts are?
They are...
Specifically, like...
there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where's the 7th? Okay, maybe not. So you've got one here next to the door, and one on the other side as well.
Are they the ones that need sealing?
No, there's 2 inside this room here.
Okay. Guess we're going on a little adventure to see what needs taken care of. Are these open?
No, they're sealed. They've sealed off this area of the engine room.
Oh. So it's not this door right at the top, it's all the doors.
They've completely sealed off the engine room. There's 3 access doors, and then there's 2 doors on the inside as well that you can tell from your map.
I'll lower the oxygen regardless.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out closing off the air ducts.
All right.
Because at least
Are
close it
you
down.
using your holodeck, or are you just
I'll
doing this on the screen?
Well, I'll just do it on the screen if I can do that.
Okay. Give me a think roll then, please.
It's the same anyway.
Okay.
4's decent.
You managed to start lowering the oxygen levels to the engine room. However, this room is connected to the engine room, and you are already on the bare minimum of life support.
Yeah, I'll be using my oxygen tank and then making my way back out.
The temperature in this room noticeably starts to plummet even further. And as you're kind of leaving, you can see the breaths exhaling from your mask. It's very frosty.
That's not what I want to go. Yeah. I will update them. So in case you haven't already noticed, gravity is now corrected. I also lowered the oxygen in there. If we want to completely seal it, we would have to fix a couple of, or manually close a couple of air ducts. In the hopes of, slowing down or completely stopping this spreading rust.
Are there any more signs of it?
At the mention of the spreading rust, you guys have been watching as Alistar's been explaining this to you, but he is actually coated from the waist down in this rust.
Oh, I would have probably stayed like at the entrance to here.
Keep your distance, Alistar. You're completely covered.
Do you think any of you have some means of getting rid of this? Flinging it off? Magnet boot situation, or?
You are from head to toe. You're gonna need a full decontamination.
Wait, how did I get head to toe? What?
No, it's from the waist down.
Oh, from the waist
Now,
down.
From the still covered in it, I think. Maybe we will
He's still covered head to toe.
yeah. Sure.
I mean, potentially.
You know, looking at the map that you've got, that there are washrooms and showers on this particular ship.
Let's take you to the shower.
With how the stuff responded to an electrical current, do I think that electrical current could possibly temporarily stop it so that you could walk out of it, sort of thing?
You could test it out.
Because Maria's got that excess charge at the moment on their defibrillator.
You have. You could shock it and hopefully it'll just crumble from me or something.
And it would be a good experiment to see if electricity can get rid of it. I don't know how much water will be effective.
Or maybe it'll supercharge and eat my legs.
That's a risk I'm willing to take.
Well,
what do you think, Captain?
Maybe I'll be
That sounds like a dangerous experiment. I'd rather not attempt it on a crew member.
Understood.
If you want, you could take off your garments and then have Maria electrify them?
That's probably a smarter idea, but let's, I suppose, head to the washroom and see how it reacts to the water.
Right, follow me.
Yeah.
Should be this way.
Okay.
Do we know, Hannah, do we know, like, the nationality, planet of origin, etc. of this ship?
Oh,
You
yeah.
have not investigated that yet.
That is also a fair point. It seems that this ship has been floating about for past 7 years, maybe. That's the last log in the engine room, anyway.
Was the reactor online?
Was the reactor what?
Online? Like, was it operational?
Yeah, the engine
I
room.
know it's...
The engine.
You must have been next to it, right?
Well,
Did you get any readouts on the reactor?
Oh. Maybe I should.
Whether it's on, off?
Did I notice anything like that while I was scanning through?
Well, the ship still has power, so the reactor must be on at some level.
Yo,
Is all you can
okay.
assume.
Yeah, the monitor was running, and therefore I had access to the engine.
Alright, we'll look into it a little bit later. Let's get this door open. Is this locked?
No, it's unlocked.
And you
Yeah.
go, Alistar. Keep your distance. We'll wait out there while you scrub up.
Don't harm the cat.
I
Yeah,
bubbled in the toilet.
I guess. How does the rust react to water?
It washes off just like ordinary rust would. It leaves a bit of a stain on your clothing. The downside to this situation is that this water is in freezing temperatures.
Oh god.
Your
So
legs
wait.
start to go numb.
Oh no!
Oh no.
Why didn't I take the pants off? But then it would have just frozen the pants,
This is true.
and then I wouldn't. I'd be butt naked from the waist down. The rest of the.
So now you basically from the waist down you are now freezing.
Does that do anything to my dash mechanic, or?
I mean, it's gonna slow you down for sure.
I mean, like character sheet wise, do you want me to change anything, or is this just like flair?
It's mostly flair. I'm
All
not
right.
gonna penalize you for that.
It is freezing in there.
Maria, do you have a heater?
I do not.
I'll look there, Alistar. You'll have to muscle through it, so what about the rust? Is it still in the bottom of the shell?
Yeah, it seems to be gone.
Wow.
Well, gone from me. It should still be there. It seems that the even though the water came out the tap, whenever they last had some form of shower, maybe it froze the plug hole.
Well, if you wish to do your experiment, Maria, you can go to electrify the rust and see how it reacts. If you want.
It would certainly be worth knowing, because if we have to deal with it in a more serious manner, it would be good to know if we have something that can stop it. Though using a defibrillator as a defensive weapon is... that's kind of funny for me. But, Maria, if you would be so kind as to go see how it responds to a charge from your defibrillator.
Wish. Just like charges up the defibrillator.
Alright, so roll your defibrillator.
D12.
What?
Oh.
So it's mostly due to the fact that this is frozen. You can see that the copper substance is kind of mid-bubble and almost ready to go down the drain, but it literally has kind of like frozen. So instead of having the same reaction that it did when the wire touched it earlier, it almost semi-explodes and scatters, and you guys, all you hear is like this tick, 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 as it kind of like ricochets off the walls. And then from somewhere deep towards the end of the engine room, you guys hear that squeal again.
It's almost like we're harming it from a distance.
Almost as if it's
Connected.
Came from the engine room again. You sure you didn't see anything in there, Alistar?
Just rust. There was a garbage chute behind the engine room, but I didn't really bother to check.
if this was
And there was the actual what's above the engine room?
Reactor,
Yeah, I didn't check the reactor.
which is exactly what we need to do. That is the greatest source of energy in this place. And if it seems to be attracted to it, well, we don't need to explain it to you, do I?
Well, it seemed to be locked off completely.
I don't think it's tracked to it. I think it's repelled by it, so that might be why they locked it in that area. Like, it stopped it spreading up the cables. And when Maria shocked that material, and when I used the cables on it, we heard that same squeal, which suggests perhaps some sort of perhaps nanite technology, so that it's that bit of rust there is actually part of the material of that creature, like it's able to separate its consciousness through different parts and
Well,
spread it.
these are starting to sound like very far-fetched theories.
Yes, it's about the only thing I can. There's some sort of connection between these rust pieces that we've seen and whatever is that squeal. I don't know exactly what that is, but I'm imagining it's some sort of connection.
So, are we trying for the bridge then?
Well, as we know, the bridge is heavily damaged. In years, you might as well be walking into space if you attempt to go there.
Yes.
Now, we haven't got sealed suits, so the only one viable to go there is Maria. And even then, it's in lockdown, so we'd need to find a way in.
So what are you suggesting, Captain?
Find another vent. Must be one around here. Either from the captain's quarters or from the terminal room.
But then we'd have to get into the captain's quarters as well, because that's
Just
locked off, I
see-
believe.
What about this door right here? What's this?
Does this have any obvious signs on it?
This one's another vent.
Perfect. All right. This one might be not pressurized, so I would say to everyone to hold on to something.
Understood.
All right. Maria, this vent here, can you get access to it? This could lead out into a breached hull, so don't get sucked away. Activate your mag tracks. That way you'll stay connected to the ship and you won't just float out into space. Everyone else, mag boots on. I hope you're holding on to that cat of yours, totally.
Of course. Got it by the
Right.
horns.
All right, Maria. Let's give this a bash. Let's see if you can get this door open.
Would it be worth catching our breath before we go through?
Uh,
Got a bit of that.
I think we'll be all right for a little bit longer. Let's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's manage a little bit.
We'll catch our
Fine.
breath afterwards.
Maria,
Wow.
as you open this door, immediately there's no suction of oxygen as you prepare for it to be a breach, which means that there's another door to get through before you can get to the bridge. What you do, however, find is yourself blinded by that blinking torch again, and this humanoid that's about a foot taller than any of your crew members has this bubbling copper like attached to like pieces of it, and it literally lunges for you as you open this door.
Oh my god.
And it
God.
grabs you by the head and by the legs, and it literally basically it pulls you in, and then it shuts the door.
Oh no.
Oh no.
And that's where we're going to end the session.
Yo!
Cliffhanger! And all
Oh
the
my
videos
god.
were
Good job you got that med kit, because it looks like you might be getting another stress.
Yeah.
Yep, Maria is getting another stress point. She rolled a 1.
Oh no.
Oh god. Wow. That was pretty cool. Pretty hype. Looking forward to the next session already.
Hell
I
yeah.
want to see what that thing is. I want to see what the nature of this creature is. What happened to the crew? Because we haven't even found any bodies yet, which is kind of alarming in of
This
itself.
is the first sign of life that you've come across.
So was the copper like just chips on its shoulder, or was it like coming out of
So
its
it
mouth or eyes?
had some on its face, and then like it's basically one side of it. So you can only assume that this person potentially had prosthetics at some point.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Damn,
Oh.
that's
Rusty
scary for me.
Slender Man, yes, I like that.
Rusty Slender Man.
So people with prosthetics are the most at danger here because it can like seep into their system.
If their prosthetics have any metal in them, then yes.
Wow. That's
Uh-oh. That's
That's
scary
bad.
for me and Kingsley here. Oh man,
it's what you get for
Well-
choosing metal men.
that was cool. Thank you very much to Steph for building the suspense and creating this interesting
The thing is that
alien
you all
enemy.
know that most of the time my one-shots involve a hell of a lot of comedy. This has been very, very hard for me to keep it.
No,
Oh,
you've done
I
well.
know that feeling. I know that
But-
feeling.
And the cat is out of the bag.
The cat
You
is
did a
out of the
great-
bag.
I love the little red herrings. Yeah, the false alarms. They've been great to sort of keep us on edge, whilst not necessarily showing your hand straight away. We got a lovely cliffhanger at the end. That's cool.
Mhm.
And now,
Yeah,
we...
If you guys do have any feedback, you can message me at like whenever in the week, and I will take it on board for next session. So hopefully that I can learn as I go along. Because again, the horror thing is a first for me vibe-wise. So I just want to make sure that you're all.
even the
enjoying
AI is kind of a little sketch as well. I don't know how you did it, but just feels like there's something we don't know about the AI. But
Yeah.
that was cool.
No comment.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
Wow.
the crew, the characters are all great. Everyone's really filling in their role quite well. And comedy is a great essential part of horror. You can't have the horror without
No, I
some
know
comedy
that,
to
but
offset
I'm
that.
trying not to make it into a comedy.
Oh no, doesn't feel like that at all.
Oh, good. That's all right then.
No.
At least I managed to slow the rust from the southern part of the ship.
Did you?
Like
though?
there's comedy, and then there's us actually just having fun and enjoying it, and I think
Yeah.
that's what it's been like.
a lack of oxygen to rust is better than
Mhm.
no having much oxygen.
Unless it thrives in an oxygenless environment for some reason.
Man, it's like so many elements to take into account in space, man. Like
Hmm.
oxygen, gravity,
Pressure.
pressure,
Temperature.
lights, temperature. Yeah, everything is being thrown at us, which is great. I can't wait for one of those things to go horribly wrong.
I'm gonna be
Yep.
honest, I didn't know what to be worried about, but rust monsters was not the one I thought it would be. So far, so far, there could be more.
Hmm.
Hmm.
There could be. You don't know.
Yeah.
And living
Anyway.
trees. The
Well,
trees.
Thank
with
you
no-
everyone for tuning
Yeah.
in and listening and watching.
Yeah.
Well, not really watching, but listening.
Yeah. This has been
Uh,
Breathless. It's a cool little system made for survival horror. And yeah, we'll sign off here. We'll make a burn maneuver, and yeah,
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye
signing out now.